A Guide to Federal Disaster Unemployment Assistance. When a natural disaster strikes, it can bring numerous challenges, from food and water shortages to the loss of heat and electricity. Disasters like hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, and floods can severely impact your personal life and finances. Fortunately, the government offers disaster relief programs to help victims by providing essentials such as food, water, and shelter. These programs, however, do much more than just provide essentials or assist in rebuilding communities. The U.S. federal government also has a program designed to prevent financial hardship for those affected by disasters, Federal Disaster Unemployment Assistance, DUA, which provides relief to individuals who are forced to miss work due to a disaster. What is Disaster Unemployment Assistance? The Disaster Unemployment Assistance, DUA, program is a federal initiative managed by the U.S. Department of Labor. It offers temporary financial relief to individuals facing disaster-related employment disruptions. Eligible individuals can receive monetary benefits to compensate for job loss or disruption caused by a major disaster. The Department of Labor works with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to identify those in need and provides funds to state unemployment insurance agencies. Who can qualify for disaster unemployment assistance? The DUA program becomes available whenever the President of the United States declares a major disaster. After such a declaration, any person who worked, lived, or was scheduled to work in the affected area can apply for unemployment benefits, provided they can demonstrate that the disaster prevented them from working. The program covers both standard employees and self-employed individuals and is available to those who can prove that the disaster caused them to lose their job due to company closure or workplace destruction, be unable to reach their workplace due to damage or destruction, be temporarily unable to work because of workplace damage, suffer a disaster-related injury that prevents them from working, seek employment due to the disaster-related death of the head of the household. To be eligible, these employment disruptions must be directly related to the declared disaster, and the individual must not qualify for regular unemployment benefits. How to apply for benefits? Applying for disaster unemployment assistance is typically straightforward. State unemployment agencies generally publish information about the program shortly after a disaster is declared. You will need to contact your state's unemployment office to file a claim. Depending on the state, you may be able to file your claim over the phone or online. However, some states may still require in-person filing. If you had to relocate to another state due to the disaster, you will still need to file your claim in the state where the disaster occurred. What type of DUA benefits can you expect? The DUA program is designed for temporary relief. The federal government mandates a maximum disaster assistance period of 26 weeks, starting from the first day of the week following the declared disaster. You can receive benefits for up to 26 weeks as long as the disaster continues to impact your ability to work. Each state has its own laws governing unemployment benefits, meaning the maximum weekly benefit amount is determined by state unemployment compensation laws. However, DUA benefits are typically half of what standard unemployment benefits would be. Even though DUA benefits may not fully replace your salary, they can still provide significant support by covering basic necessities until the disaster's effects subside, allowing you to return to work. How to apply for disaster unemployment assistance, DUA? Applying for disaster unemployment assistance, DUA, is a straightforward process. Here's how you can apply. Check for eligibility. First, make sure that the President has declared your area a disaster zone. You must have worked, lived, or been scheduled to work in the disaster area, and the disaster must have affected your ability to work. Contact your state's unemployment office. After a disaster declaration, state unemployment agencies will publish information about the DUA program. Visit the website or contact the office of your state's unemployment insurance program to learn how to file a claim. Submit your application. Depending on your state, you may be able to apply for DUA online, by phone, or in person. Be sure to follow the instructions provided by your state's unemployment office. You will need to file a DUA claim in the state where the disaster occurred, even if you were forced to evacuate to another state. Provide required information. While DUA does not require tax returns or pay stubs, you will need to prove that the disaster prevented you from working. This can include documentation of your employment before the disaster, proof that you were scheduled to work but could not due to the disaster, any disaster-related injuries or circumstances that impacted your ability to work, meet credit score and other requirements. If applicable, ensure that your personal credit score meets the minimum requirement, typically a score of 680. Wait for approval. After submitting your claim, the state agency will review your eligibility. If approved, you will begin receiving DUA benefits as per the state's guidelines. Reapply as needed. If the disaster continues to impact your ability to work, you can reapply for DUA benefits for up to 26 weeks after the declared disaster. By following these steps, you can apply for and receive DUA benefits, which provide temporary financial relief during times of disaster. Disaster Unemployment Assistance, DUA, eligibility deadline. The deadline to apply for Disaster Unemployment Assistance, DUA, typically follows these key points. Application period. You must apply for DUA within 30 days after the disaster declaration is made by the President. This date is crucial because missing the application window can make you ineligible for benefits. Exceptions. In some cases, if the state announces an extension due to ongoing hardships, the deadline may be extended. Always check with your state unemployment agency to confirm deadlines specific to your area. Documentation submission. Ensure that all required documentation is submitted by the deadline. Incomplete applications or delays in submitting proof of eligibility may impact your ability to receive benefits. By meeting this deadline, you can ensure your eligibility for DUA and receive benefits for up to 26 weeks following the declared disaster. The approval process for Disaster Unemployment Assistance, DUA, typically takes around 2 to 3 weeks after you submit your application. However, this timeframe can vary depending on several factors. State processing time. Each state manages its own unemployment programs, so the processing time may differ depending on the state's resources and workload. Completeness of application. If your application is complete and all necessary documentation is provided, proof of employment, disaster impact, etc., your claim is more likely to be processed quickly. Missing or incomplete information may delay the process. Disaster severity. In the aftermath of major disasters, there can be a high volume of applications, which could slow down processing times. After approval, benefits are usually paid weekly, starting from the first week after the disaster. It's a good idea to check with your state's unemployment office for updates on your application status. To apply for Disaster Unemployment Assistance, DUA, follow these steps. State Unemployment Agency. Visit your state's unemployment office website or contact them directly. Each state handles DUA applications through its unemployment insurance system. You can typically find your state's unemployment website through a search like Your State Plus Unemployment Office, e.g., California Unemployment Office. FEMA website. You can also visit the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, website for information about disaster declarations and links to relevant state resources. FEMA often coordinates with the Department of Labor to provide DUA in declared disaster areas. Visit FEMA at www.fema.gov. Apply online or by phone. Most states offer online application options. Some may also allow you to apply by phone, and in certain cases, you may need to file in person. State unemployment offices. If you are displaced due to a disaster and need to apply in a different state, you will still apply with the state where the disaster occurred. Once you've identified the relevant state agency, you can follow their instructions to submit your application for DUA. To apply for Disaster Unemployment Assistance, DUA, you'll typically need to provide several documents to verify your identity, employment, and how the disaster impacted your ability to work. Here's a list of commonly required documents. 1. Proof of identity. Government-issued ID, driver's license, passport, or state ID. Social Security number, SSN. 2. Proof of employment or self-employment. Pay stubs or earning statements. Recent tax returns, for self-employed individuals' business records, e.g., profit and loss statements, ledgers, employment contracts, work schedules, or verification letters from your employer. 3. Proof of loss of employment due to the disaster. A letter from your employer confirming that your workplace is closed due to the disaster. Documentation showing that you were scheduled to work but could not due to the disaster, such as emails or work schedules. If self-employed, evidence that your business was directly affected, such as damage to your workplace or records of canceled orders/contracts. 4. Proof of residence. Utility bills, lease agreements, or any document that confirms your address in the disaster-affected area. 5. Injury or disability documents, if applicable if you were injured during the disaster and unable to work, medical records or a doctor's note proving that the injury is disaster-related. 6. Personal information for the application. Bank account details, for direct deposit contact information, phone number, email, address. Additional notes. You do not need to provide traditional documents like W-2s, pay stubs, or tax returns for stated income if you are self-employed or using alternative income verification. Providing complete and accurate documentation can help speed up the processing of your due claim. Make sure to check with your state's unemployment office for any additional or state-specific requirements.